You know that feeling when you grab a cheap 27-inch monitor because it looks like a good deal, set it up, and then realize half the screen is just wasted space or the colors look flat after a few weeks. I've been there, and the regret that follows usually comes from spending time trying to patch together a better workflow with a monitor that just isn't up to the task. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The question I keep hearing is whether splurging on a massive ultra-wide is really worth it or if you're just buying a fancy TV you can't actually use. That's the exact dilemma I faced before I started looking at the Dell UltraSharp U4924DW, and it's what I want to unpack for you today. First off, let's talk about the kind of setup this monitor lives in. A 49-inch curved panel is not something you can just drop onto any desk. You need a sturdy surface that's at least a meter wide, plus enough depth to accommodate the stand and the slight dip of the curve. In my own home office, I cleared out a standing desk that spans 130 centimeters and paired it with a solid desk mat to keep the monitor stable. The curve actually helps keep everything within a comfortable field of view, so you don't have to turn your head dramatically when you swing from a spreadsheet on the left to a chat window on the right. If you're used to juggling two separate 27-inch screens, you'll notice that the transition is smoother. There's no bezel gap, and the desktop feels like a single canvas rather than two stitched pieces. The biggest practical advantage of the UltraSharp U4924DW is the dual Quad HD, DQHD, resolution. At 5120x1440 you get roughly the same pixel count you'd have on two 27-inch QHD monitors, but all on one panel. For anyone who spends their day dragging and dropping files between folders, running a video timeline, or monitoring live data feeds, that extra horizontal space is a game-changer. I set up my video editing software with a full-screen preview on the right side while the left side held my media bins and effects panels. The workflow felt more fluid because I never had to Alt-Tab or reach for a second monitor. Everything was just a glance away. Gaming on an ultra-wide can be hit or miss, but the U4924DW surprises in a good way. The 5 milliseconds gray-to-gray response time means fast action scenes in recent titles don't leave a trail of ghosting, and the 350 nit brightness is sufficient to keep details visible even in a sunlit room. I tried a first-person shooter and a racing game side by side, and the immersion was undeniable. The curve wraps the scenery around you, and the extra horizontal field of view actually gives a competitive edge. Just keep in mind that not every game supports a 32:9 aspect ratio natively. Some will add black bars or stretch the image, which can be a bit distracting if you're picky about picture fidelity. Connectivity is where Dell tries to make life easier. The USB-C port carries both video and power, so you can plug a laptop straight into the monitor and get a full-screen desktop without a separate power brick or HDMI cable. For a mobile professional who works from a MacBook or a Windows Ultrabook, that single cable reduces desk clutter dramatically. I've used it to charge my laptop while I'm editing a podcast episode, and the data transfer feels snappy enough for moving large audio files without a hiccup. Now, let's talk about the trade-offs that aren't always front and center in the spec sheet. The sheer size means the pixel density is lower than you'd get on a 4K 27-inch display, so if you're a photographer who needs razor-sharp detail at a close viewing distance, you might notice a slight softness when you zoom in on raw images. The monitor also leans heavily on a dedicated graphics card to drive the DQHD panel at high refresh rates. If you're on an integrated GPU, you could run into performance bottlenecks or be forced to lower settings. Additionally, the stand, while sturdy, doesn't tilt very far, so you might need to adjust your chair height to get the perfect viewing angle. The weight of the unit over 20 kg means you'll need a solid surface. A flimsy desk could wobble under the load. Who should seriously consider this monitor? If you're a video editor, a music producer, a financial trader, or a programmer who regularly has multiple windows open, the extra horizontal real estate will pay for itself in time saved. Creative teams that need to reference storyboards while tweaking timelines will love the seamless canvas. Gamers who want a more immersive field of view without sacrificing response time will also find a lot to like. Basically, anyone whose workflow benefits from seeing more at once and who has the desk space to accommodate a 49-inch curve will get value. Who should walk away? If you live in a small apartment with a compact desk,